Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, in a cozy little cottage at the edge of a great green forest, there lived a kind and cheerful girl. Everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood because she always wore a beautiful red cape with a soft velvet hood that her grandmother had sewn for her. She loved that cape more than anything. She wore it when she picked daisies in the meadow, when she splashed in puddles after the rain, and even when she helped her mother bake warm bread in their little kitchen. One fine evening, just as the golden sun began to dip behind the treetops, her mother called to her. "Little Red, your grandmother is feeling a bit tired today. Would you bring her this basket of fresh bread and honey?" Little Red Riding Hood smiled a big, bright smile. She loved visiting her grandmother, who lived in a snug little house on the other side of the forest. "Of course, Mama," she said, pulling on her red cape and tucking the basket under her arm. "I'll follow the lantern path, just like always." And so, with a kiss on her cheek and a wave goodbye, Little Red Riding Hood stepped onto the soft forest trail beneath the rising moon. The forest path was lined with little glowing lanterns that the village woodcutter had hung from the branches to help travelers find their way. They flickered softly like tiny captured stars, and Little Red Riding Hood hummed a happy tune as she walked beneath them. But someone else was in the forest that evening, a big, fluffy wolf with a long, bushy tail. Now, this wolf was not fierce or scary. He was really quite silly. He thought he was very clever, but he was always tripping over his own paws and getting his tail tangled in bramble bushes. He spotted Little Red Riding Hood and waddled over, trying to look important. "Good evening," said the wolf, puffing out his chest. "Where might you be going with that lovely basket?" "To my grandmother's house," said Little Red Riding Hood politely. "She lives just past the old oak tree." The wolf's eyes went wide. He had a silly idea. He would run ahead to grandmother's house and eat all the honey before Little Red Riding Hood arrived. So off he dashed, except he ran straight into a low-hanging branch, tumbled over a tree root, and landed nose first in a patch of soft moss. He scrambled up, shook the leaves from his ears, and hurried on his clumsy way. The wolf arrived at grandmother's cottage, panting and covered in leaves. He knocked on the door and tried to make his voice sound small. "Grandmother, it's me, Little Red Riding Hood," he squeaked. But the door swung open, and there stood grandmother herself, a round, rosy-cheeked woman with spectacles perched on her nose and a knitting needle in her hand. She was not in bed at all. She was feeling much better and had been knitting by the fire. "You are not my granddaughter," grandmother said, peering at the wolf over her glasses. "You are a wolf with a leaf stuck to your nose." The wolf blinked. He tried again. No, I am definitely Little Red." "You have paws, dear," said grandmother, crossing her arms. The wolf looked down at his big fuzzy paws and sighed. His trick had not worked at all. Grandmother shook her head, but she was not angry. She could see this wolf was not dangerous, just a bit foolish. "Well, since you're here," she said, "you might as well sit on the porch, but no honey for wolves who tell fibs." The wolf's ears drooped, and he sat down quietly on the front step, feeling rather embarrassed. A few minutes later, Little Red Riding Hood came skipping up the path. She saw the wolf sitting on the porch step with his chin resting on his paws, looking very sorry for himself. "Oh," she said. "What are you doing here, Mr. Wolf?" "I tried to play a trick," the wolf mumbled, "and it didn't work. Your grandmother is very smart." Little Red Riding Hood giggled. Just then, a tall, friendly man came strolling down the path with a lantern in one hand and a bundle of firewood under his arm. It was the village woodcutter, the kindest man in the whole forest. He hung lanterns for travelers, carved little wooden animals for the children, and always had a gentle smile. "Good evening, everyone," he said cheerfully. "I brought some extra firewood for your grandmother, Little Red. And who is this fluffy fellow?" "A wolf who tried to be sneaky," said Grandmother from the doorway, "but wasn't very good at it." The woodcutter laughed, a big, warm laugh that echoed through the trees. "Well, Mr. Wolf, sneaky doesn't suit you, but I could use a friend to help me hang lanterns in the forest. Would you like that instead?" The wolf's ears perked up. Nobody had ever asked him to be a friend before, and so, that night, something wonderful happened. They all sat together around Grandmother's wooden table by the crackling fireplace. Little Red Riding Hood shared the warm bread. Grandmother poured cups of chamomile tea. The woodcutter told funny stories about the animals of the forest. And the wolf, well, the wolf got a tiny spoonful of honey after all, because he promised never to play tricks again. After supper, the wolf helped the woodcutter hang 3 new lanterns on the path outside. They glowed softly in the dark, like little golden moons. Little Red Riding Hood watched from the window and smiled. "Good night, Mr. Wolf," she called. "Good night, Little Red," the wolf called back, his tail wagging happily for the first time in a very long while. Then Grandmother tucked a warm blanket around Little Red Riding Hood's shoulders, and they sat together by the fire, watching the embers glow orange and gold. Outside, the forest was peaceful. The lanterns glowed, the stars shimmered, and somewhere on the path, a happy wolf was learning that being kind was much better than being clever. And everyone in the little cottage by the forest slept soundly, warmly, and well. The end. Hansel and Gretel. Once upon a time, at the edge of a deep and dreamy forest, there lived 2 children named Hansel and Gretel. They were brother and sister, and they loved each other very much. Hansel had kind brown eyes, and Gretel had a gentle laugh that sounded like a little silver bell. One soft autumn evening, they went walking in the forest with their mother and father to gather mushrooms and berries for supper. The air smelled of pine needles and damp earth. Leaves of gold and copper drifted slowly from the branches above, turning and spinning like tiny dancers. They wandered deeper and deeper into the trees, following a winding trail of soft green moss. But as the sky turned from dusky pink to deep, deep blue, a gentle mist rolled in through the trees. It was a quiet mist, like a silver blanket laid softly over the forest floor. And when it lifted, Hansel and Gretel looked around and realized they could no longer see their parents. The trail had disappeared. The forest was very still, very quiet, very calm. Gretel held Hansel's hand, and Hansel held Gretel's hand, and together they felt brave. They were not afraid, because the forest was gentle, and they knew their parents would be looking for them. "Let us walk slowly," said Hansel, "and listen for their voices." So they walked, slowly, slowly, through the quiet forest. The trees swayed softly overhead. An owl hooted once, twice, from somewhere far away. The moss beneath their feet was as soft as a pillow, and the moonlight painted everything in silver and pale blue. They crossed a little stream that whispered and murmured over smooth, round stones. They passed a meadow full of sleeping wildflowers, their petals gently closed for the night. Fireflies blinked here and there, like tiny floating lanterns guiding them forward. And then, as they came around a bend in the path, Gretel gasped softly. There in the clearing, glowing with warm, golden light, stood the most wonderful little house either of them had ever seen. Its walls were made of gingerbread. Its roof was frosted with sugar. Gumdrops lined the windowsills, and the door handle was a twisted candy cane. It smelled of cinnamon, vanilla, and warm butter. The door of the gingerbread house creaked open, and out came a small, round old woman with wild white hair and a flour-dusted apron. She squinted at the children through large spectacles and frowned. "Who is nibbling at my windowsill?" she grumbled. "Oh, children. She was not a wicked witch. She was just a grumpy old woman who had lived alone in the forest for a very long time. She had forgotten how to smile. She had forgotten how to share. She had forgotten what it felt like to have company. Gretel stepped forward with her gentle silver bell voice. "We're sorry to bother you, ma'am. We've lost our way, and we're looking for our parents." The old woman squinted harder. Then she sighed, a long, slow sigh. "Well, I suppose you had better come in. I have warm soup, and I have blankets, but don't touch the gumdrops." Inside, the house was cluttered but cozy. A fire crackled in a stone hearth. Dried herbs hung from the ceiling. A fat orange cat slept on a cushion by the window. The old woman ladled warm soup into 2 wooden bowls. She did not smile, not yet, but her hands were gentle. That night, the old woman gave Hansel and Gretel soft blankets and let them sleep by the warm fire. And while they slept, something quiet and wonderful happened. The old woman sat in her rocking chair and watched the firelight dance across their peaceful, sleeping faces. She remembered something she had forgotten long ago. She remembered what it felt like to not be alone. In the morning, Gretel picked wildflowers and put them in a jar on the old woman's table. Hansel fixed a squeaky hinge on her garden gate. The old woman watched them, and slowly, very slowly, the corners of her mouth turned upward. It was a small smile, a rusty smile, but it was real. "You are kind children," she said quietly. Then she reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small golden compass. "This will lead you home," she said. "Follow the needle, and it will find your parents." Gretel hugged the old woman. Hansel did too. And the old woman stood very still because she had not been hugged in a very, very long time. A single warm tear rolled down her cheek, and she did not wipe it away. Hansel and Gretel followed the golden compass through the quiet forest. The needle turned gently, guiding them past sleeping ferns and whispering streams, past silver birch trees and fields of soft clover. The forest grew lighter. The air grew warmer. And then, through the trees, they heard a voice calling their names. It was their mother and their father, running toward them with open arms and tears of joy. They had been searching all night long. They had never stopped looking, not for one single moment. The family held each other tightly, and nobody let go for a very long time. And from that day on, they never walked into the forest without holding hands. And sometimes, on quiet evenings, they would bring a basket of fresh bread and jam to the old woman in the gingerbread house. She always had warm soup waiting. She always had the fire lit. And she always smiled when she heard their footsteps on the path. The forest was still. The stars were bright. The world was kind. And everyone rested peacefully. The end. The Bremen Town Musicians. Once upon a time, on a quiet road that wound through soft green hills, a gentle old donkey was walking slowly toward a town called Bremen. He had heard that in Bremen there was music, and the donkey loved music more than anything in the world. He hummed a low, sleepy tune as he walked. The evening sky was turning the color of lavender and honey. The grass beside the road swayed gently in the breeze, back and forth, like the whole world was rocking itself to sleep. Soon, the donkey met a soft old dog resting under a willow tree. "Where are you going?" asked the dog with a yawn. "To Bremen," said the donkey, "to play music." "I will come with you," said the dog. "I can keep the rhythm. Tap, tap, tap." And so the two friends walked on together, slowly, slowly, down the quiet road. The breeze was gentle, the sky was soft, and the world was growing still. A little farther down the road, they met a cat. She was sitting on a fence post, her eyes half closed, her tail curled around her paws. "Where are you going?" the cat whispered. "To Bremen," said the donkey softly, "to play music together." "I will come," said the cat. "I can hum. And so three friends walked on together, slowly, slowly, past fields of sleeping wildflowers, past a pond where the moon was just beginning to appear, a perfect silver circle reflected in the still, still water. Then they heard a small sound above them. A rooster was perched on a low branch, his feathers ruffled, his eyes blinking sleepily. "Where are you all going?" he murmured. "To Bremen," they all whispered, "to play the softest music." "I will come too," said the rooster. "I can sing a lullaby. Kuru, kuru." Four friends now, walking together down the quiet, quiet road. One donkey, one dog, one cat, one rooster. The moon rose higher. The stars grew brighter, and the road went on, soft and silver, into the gentle night. As the night deepened, the four friends came upon a little cottage in the woods. Through the window, they could see a warm fire glowing and a table with bread and milk. Inside sat three grumpy fellows who had been arguing all evening about who would wash the dishes. They were not bad, just grumpy and tired. The donkey peered through the window. The dog stood on the donkey's back. The cat stood on the dog, and the rooster stood on the very top. Then, all at once, they began to play their music. The donkey hummed low. The dog tapped softly. Tap, tap, tap. The cat purred her gentle note. And the rooster sang his sleepy song. Coo-roo, coo-roo. The sound drifted through the window like a warm breeze. The three grumpy fellows inside jumped up in surprise. They had never heard such a strange and beautiful lullaby. It made their eyes heavy. It made them yawn. One by one, they set down their dishes and wandered off to bed, too drowsy to argue any longer. The four friends let themselves in through the open door. The fire was still glowing, warm and low. The bread was soft. The milk was cool. They ate a little, slowly, quietly. Then they found their places to rest. The donkey lay down on a pile of soft straw by the door. The dog curled up on a warm rug by the hearth. The cat nestled into a cushioned chair by the fading fire. And the rooster tucked his head under his wing and perched on a beam above, where the warmth rose gently from below. One by one, they closed their eyes. The donkey first, then the dog, then the cat, then the rooster. One by one, the fire crackled softly. The shadows danced slowly on the walls. The wind outside whispered through the trees, "Shh, shh, shh." And the little cottage in the woods grew very, very quiet. They never did reach Bremen. They did not need to. They had found their home. They had found each other. And every night, in their cozy little cottage in the woods, they played their soft, soft music. The donkey hummed low. The dog tapped gently. Tap, tap, tap. The cat purred softly. And the rooster sang his lullaby. Kuru, kuru. And one by one, the candles in the cottage went dark. One by one, the stars outside grew dim. One by one, the sounds of the forest faded away. The stream stopped whispering. The wind stopped blowing. The leaves stopped rustling. Everything was soft. Everything was still. Everything was sleep. Four friends in one warm home, dreaming the same gentle dream. And if you listen very, very carefully on a quiet night, You might just hear their music. Tap, tap. Kuru, softer and softer, fainter and fainter, until all that is left is silence and sleep and peace. The end.